The fluorescent lights flickered in the small veterinary room at Riverside Animal Shelter as Dr. Sarah Chen knelt beside the trembling German Shepherd mix. The dog's breathing came in rapid, shallow bursts, her amber eyes wide with a mixture of pain and something else, fear that seemed almost human. Sarah had delivered dozens of litters in her 3 years at the shelter, but something about this one felt different. The dog, whom they'd named Maya, had been found collapsed near the highway just 48 hours earlier, heavily pregnant and covered in mud. Now, as the first contraction rippled through her body, Sarah placed a gentle hand on her flank and whispered, "It's okay, girl. I've got you." But when the first newborn emerged, slick and squirming, Sarah's breath caught in her throat. The proportions were wrong. The muzzle was too elongated, the ears too pointed, the paws too large for a puppy this size. She lifted the tiny creature closer to the light, her medical training warring with disbelief. "Tom!" she called to the shelter director waiting outside, her voice barely steady. "You need to see this." 3 days earlier, Maya had arrived in the bed of a rusted pickup truck. The driver, an older farmer named Mr. Patterson, had found her lying in a ditch near his property, too weak to run. "Thought she was dead at first," he'd told Tom, the shelter's grizzled ex-military director. "But then I saw her belly move. She's carrying, and she's in bad shape." Tom had immediately called Sarah, who rushed over despite it being past midnight. When she first examined Maya, she noticed something unusual. The dog's teeth were sharper than any domestic breed she'd seen, her skull structure slightly different, her eyes reflecting light in an eerie golden green. "She might be part wolf," Sarah had murmured, running her hands over Maya's distended abdomen, "or something else entirely." The dog had flinched at first, then relaxed under Sarah's touch, as if recognizing a friend. They'd set her up in the isolation room, given her fluids and nutrition, and waited. Maya hadn't eaten for the first 24 hours, just stared at the door with an intensity that made Sarah uncomfortable, as though expecting someone to walk through it. On the second day, Maya finally accepted food, but only when Sarah hand-fed her. The connection between them grew quickly. Too quickly, Sarah thought. It was as if the dog understood every word she spoke. When Sarah told her about her own struggles, about the student loans crushing her, about the father who'd wanted her to be a human doctor instead of wasting her degree on animals, Maya would tilt her head and whine softly, pressing her nose against Sarah's hand. Tom noticed it too. "That dog's bonded to you hard," he observed, watching through the window as Sarah brushed Maya's coat. "Never seen anything like it." Sarah had shrugged it off, but deep down she felt it too. A strange protective instinct that went beyond professional care. Now, as the second newborn arrived, Sarah's hands trembled. This one looked even less like a puppy. The coat was darker, wilder, with guard hairs already visible. The tiny creature made a sound, not a puppy's mewl, but a thin, keening cry that raised the hair on Sarah's arms. Tom burst through the door, took one look, and froze. "Sarah, what the hell are those?" She shook her head, gently placing the newborns beside Maya, who immediately began licking them with fierce devotion. "I don't know, but they're not regular puppies." Before we continue with what happens next, don't forget to like and subscribe. It really helps the channel grow. The third and fourth newborns came quickly, each one stranger than the last. Sarah's mind raced through her veterinary education, through every species she'd studied, but nothing matched. Tom pulled out his phone and started taking photos. "We need to document this," he muttered, "and we might need to call someone." Sarah's protective instinct flared. "Call who? Animal control. They'll take her away." Tom met her eyes, his expression grave. "Sarah, if these aren't dogs, we're legally required to report it. This could be an endangered species, or worse. The word hung between them. Worse, like an illegal breeding operation, like exotic animal trafficking, like something that would end with Maya in a cage somewhere, studied and alone. Sarah spent the next hour examining each newborn while Maya watched her with those unsettling golden eyes. The babies, 4 in total, had anatomical features that didn't match any dog breed in her database. Their paw pads were already developing the thick, robust structure of wild canines. Their ears, though still folded, would clearly be erect and oversized. Most telling were the teeth, tiny but sharp, designed for tearing meat from an early age. She drew blood samples, careful not to stress Maya, who growled low in her throat whenever Sarah handled the newborns too long. "It's okay, Mama," Sarah soothed. "I'm trying to help." She sent the samples to a university lab she'd worked with during her residency, marking them urgent but providing no context. While waiting for results, she couldn't shake the feeling that they were being watched. That night, Sarah volunteered to stay at the shelter. Tom had gone home, leaving her alone with the overnight animals. She set up a cot in the room adjacent to Maya's, leaving the door cracked so she could hear any distress. Around 2 a.m., Maya started whining, not in pain, but in warning. Sarah sat up, heart pounding. Through the window she saw headlights sweep across the parking lot. A sleek black SUV pulled up, completely wrong for the rural area. 2 figures emerged, dressed too formally, moving with purpose. Sarah's phone buzzed. A text from the lab. "Urgent, call immediately. Sample shows Canis lupus DNA. Where did you get this?" Her blood ran cold. Wolf DNA. Maya wasn't part wolf. She was wolf, or close enough that it mattered, and someone had come looking for her. The knock on the front door was authoritative, demanding. Sarah's mind raced. She couldn't let them take Maya. She moved quickly, unlocking Maya's room and whispering, "We need to hide." The wolf dog understood. She gathered her newborns one by one, carrying them in her jaws to the storage closet Sarah indicated, a space behind old supply shelves that Tom had shown her. Sarah had just closed the shelter door when the pounding intensified. "This is Dr. Marcus Reeves from the Northern Wildlife Conservation Project. We have reason to believe you're harboring our property." Property. The word made Sarah's jaw clench. She cracked the door open. "The shelter is closed. Come back during business hours." The man, tall, silver-haired with cold eyes, pulled out identification. "We tracked our missing research subject to this location. A female wolf hybrid, pregnant, extremely valuable. She was stolen from our facility 2 weeks ago." Sarah's mind whirled. Stolen or escaped? "I don't know what you're talking about. We only have domestic animals here." Dr. Reeves's smile was thin. "Ms. Chen. It is Ms. Chen, isn't it? Our subject has a microchip. I can have authorities here within the hour with a warrant, or you can cooperate now and avoid legal complications." Sarah's hands clenched. "It's Dr. Chen. And unless you have that warrant, you're trespassing." She started to close the door, but Reeves jammed his foot in. "She's given birth, hasn't she? Those pups represent years of research, genetic therapy for endangered species. You're interfering with crucial conservation work." Something in his tone rang false. Sarah had worked with genuine conservationists. They didn't threaten or intimidate. They didn't call living creatures property. She slammed the door, locked it, and immediately called Tom. "We have a problem." While waiting for him, she researched the Northern Wildlife Conservation Project on her phone. The organization existed, but the reviews were troubling. Accusations of unethical breeding programs, animals kept in substandard conditions, financial irregularities. Nothing proven, but enough smoke to suggest fire. When Tom arrived 20 minutes later with the local sheriff, an old friend, Sarah showed them everything. The sheriff, a woman named Garcia, listened carefully to Reeves's demands, then examined his documentation. "This permit is for Colorado," Garcia said. "We're in Oregon. You have no jurisdiction here." Reeves's face darkened. "The animal is federal property under the Endangered Species Act." Garcia shrugged. "Then file the proper paperwork. Until then, Doctor. Chen is within her rights to provide care to an animal found abandoned." After Reeves left, promising to return with proper authorization, Tom, Garcia and Sarah held a crisis meeting. "If those pups really are wolf hybrids, this gets complicated," Garcia warned. "There are laws about keeping them." Sarah pulled up the blood work on her laptop. "They're not hybrids. They're too genetically pure. Maya is either a wolf who mated with a wolf or—" She trailed off, thinking. "Or she's part of a captive breeding program that went wrong." Tom rubbed his face. "So what do we do?" Sarah looked toward the closet where Maya hid with her babies. "We protect them. Something isn't right about Reeves or his organization. Give me 48 hours to figure out what." The next day, Sarah contacted every wolf conservation group she could find. Most were helpful but cautious. Wolf reintroduction was controversial, and unauthorized breeding programs were illegal. But one researcher, Dr. Amanda Price from the Wolf Recovery Foundation, called her back immediately. "You said Northern Wildlife Conservation. They've been on our radar for years. They claim to do conservation work, but it's really a front for private collectors, wealthy people who want exotic pets. They breed wolves to be more docile, more dog-like, then sell them for thousands." Sarah felt sick. "So Maya is probably a breeding female they've been exploiting. If she escaped while pregnant, they'd want her back desperately. Those pups are worth a fortune to the right buyer." Sarah made her decision then. She called a sanctuary in Montana that Dr. Price recommended, a legitimate wolf refuge with acres of protected land. They agreed to take Maya and her pups, but transport would take time to arrange. Meanwhile, Reeves was getting a court order. Sarah had maybe 3 days. She spent every spare moment with Maya, documenting the pups' development, ensuring they were healthy. The newborns were thriving, already showing the intelligence and alertness of wild canines. Maya remained protective but trusted Sarah completely, even allowing her to handle the pups for medical checks. On the 3rd day, Tom rushed in. "Reeves got his warrant. They're coming this afternoon." Sarah's heart sank, but she'd prepared for this. The Montana Sanctuary had sent a specialized transport team. They arrived 2 hours before the deadline, professional and discreet. Maya seemed to understand what was happening. When Sarah opened the transport crate, the wolf walked in voluntarily, her pups tucked safely in a padded box beside her. "You're going somewhere safe," Sarah whispered, pressing her forehead against the crate. "Somewhere no one can use you." Maya's golden eyes held hers for a long moment, and Sarah could swear she saw gratitude there. When Reeves arrived with local police and his warrant, the isolation room was empty. "Where is she?" he demanded. Sarah met his gaze calmly. "The animal was picked up by Federal Wildlife Services this morning. Endangered species take precedence over private claims. If you'd like to contest their jurisdiction, you'll need to take it up with them." It wasn't entirely a lie. The sanctuary had federal backing. Reeves' face went purple with rage, but there was nothing he could do. The officers confirmed that proper wildlife authorities had been involved, and without the animal present, his warrant was worthless. He left threatening lawsuits, but Sarah knew they'd never materialize. Dr. Price had warned her that organizations like his avoided legal scrutiny. A month later, Sarah received a package from Montana. Inside was a photo of Maya in a large natural enclosure. Her 4 pups, now visibly wolf cubs, playing beside a stream. The note read, "She's home. Thank you for giving her a chance." Sarah pinned the photo above her desk, where it stayed through every late night, every difficult case, every moment she doubted whether she'd made the right choice, becoming a vet instead of following her father's plan. Maya had reminded her why this work mattered. Not all animals could be saved, but the ones who could deserved someone willing to fight for them. Tom noticed the photo one afternoon and smiled. "Think she remembers you?" Sarah touched the frame gently. "I think she knows someone cared enough to let her go." And in the wild spaces of Montana, where wolves ran free under open skies, Maya raised her pups to be what they were always meant to be. Not property, not experiments, but wild and free. The shelter went back to its normal rhythm, but Sarah never forgot the wolf who taught her that. Sometimes the bravest thing you could do was protect something precious, even when the world told you it belonged to someone else.